Okay, so you set out with the best of intentions, you've got a clear goal in mind and little action steps, and then what happens? We falter, we fall off track, and we have trouble getting back on. Sound familiar? If you've experienced this, well, it probably just means that you're a human being, and fortunately, there is a neuroscience-based technique that you can use to get back on track quickly, take continuous steps, and achieve your biggest, boldest goals. Hey, I'm Ben Aarons, co-founder of Reorigin, where we teach you how to reclaim your health by retraining your brain. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the science of small wins and how you can use this to develop a sense of momentum for steady forward motion. Sometimes when we have a big goal and it's not necessarily so clear how we're going to get there, like reclaiming my health, the overwhelm factor can actually inhibit us from just taking the small daily actions that will lead to that bigger outcome. So to overcome that, we want to employ what we call the science of small wins, which is basically a threefold process of number one, seeing yourself do something, can really be anything in your mind's eye, then actually doing the thing, and then finally celebrating the fact that you did it. This gives you a sense of momentum and upward motion that allows you to just keep going. So to give you an example of how I used this when I was recovering from chronic Lyme disease and chronic fatigue and brain fog and a bunch of other things I spoke about in a TED Talk that I'll link to below, is I made a commitment to myself to just do one small thing every single day. At first, it started off with getting out of bed and doing one stretch. Then it went on to taking a conscious breath throughout the day. And then finally, I was able to take little steps forward and set foot outside. And once I did this, the goal became clear. I wanted to go for a walk and reach this certain point in Riverside Park, where I was living close to at the time, and have that be sort of my marker. Now, one of the things that neuroscience shows is that when you have a clear mark in sight and you aim to reach that mark each time, you have a much higher likelihood of actually taking the initial steps to get there. So an experiment was done a while ago where they actually found that when sprinters had something to sprint toward, instead of just sprinting forward, say a white towel that they would place on the tarmac that they were running on, that their running time actually dramatically increased just by having that focal point. And every time they reached that point, they would celebrate it as a victory. In another study, they found that when people were stretching to gain flexibility, say in the hamstrings, that their flexibility would actually dramatically increase when they had a specific target to stretch for. And this type of stretching has actually been called reach the mark stretching. So for instance, if you're bending down to touch your toes and you have that toe as your mark to reach with your fingertips, then maybe the palm of your hand, then your wrist, then eventually even the elbow. This is a way that you can actually incrementally improve your range of motion because you have a specific mark that you've set for yourself. So for me, again, going back to the example, once I had that mark, for me it was a certain location in the park, I made a commitment to reach that mark every day, no matter what was the attitude. And even if it was raining or snowing outside, I would just set aside some winter gear to have at my door to be at the ready. And every day, regardless of the conditions, I would set outside and reach that mark. And once I got there, the key is to celebrate the win. So this doesn't have to be something complicated. Easier is better. It can even be as simple as I'm going to see myself picking up this object on my desk, then I reach for it and I go ahead and pick it up and celebrate the fact that I did it. But the very fact that you've closed this loop for yourself is actually building strong neural circuitry associated with momentum and forward motion. So my question and challenge to you is, what is one thing that you can do every single day such that by doing that one thing, it gives you that sense of momentum? Let me know what works for you. Leave it in the comments section below. If you have any questions, feel free to visit us at reorigin.com and check out our full brain retraining program.